Hi, Autumn here. Welcome to my studio. Today I'll be sharing a speed paint of this painting and talking a bit about the process. Art that Inspires and Uplifts by Autumn Rosario Hall. Today I'm working on an acrylic painting of my character Sweet Tiny Green Moss Collector. She is from a collection of stories I'm working on called Tales from the Scraggle Wood. I'm using watered down acrylics, which I'm working with very loosely and just laying in the background of the stumps and the grass and moss of the foreground. And right now I'm just sort of laying in all the base colors, not really worrying about the details too much, just getting everything established, getting these little mosslets figured out in front. Mosslets reappear in a couple of the stories. They're kind of like little hedgehogs, and they live in the scraggle wood and they spread moss. At this point, it's a lot of layering colors and building up depth. I like to work in washes instead of starting out with the color that everything is going to be. I end up layering a bunch of different colors and different saturations of colors to build up the depth of the painting, and that helps, I think, make the colors a lot richer and nuanced than if I just went in with like one solid green or one solid blue. The colors I'm working with for this painting are sap green, cad yellow, burnt umber, a bright blue, and ultramarine blue for the shadows, and then also raw sienna and raw umber for various browns of the wood and the bricks on the side. And then I'll add in a few pops of alizarin crimson towards the end. So I mentioned the figure in the painting is a tiny green moss collector. She spends her time collecting bits of moss, and then she puts them in a basket and travels to share the moss. She travels through the wood, spiraling ever further from the heart of green. Broken glass littered her path like crystals. The mosslets scampered over it, helping her climb decaying stumps too tall for one so small. She balances her basket, overflowing with moss, mustn't lose even a wisp of it. The scragglewood thins. Here is concrete, rock, and rubble. It burns too hot for a mosslet's tender paw. Tiny green moss collector must go on her own from here. So that's just a bit of the story that this illustration is based on. This story is set to have at least 8 illustrations. This one's a full page one, and a few of the other ones are just half page ones, and then I'll add the text on top of the paper when I start formatting the book. I'm working towards collecting all the art inspired by the Scragglewood and the stories from it into a book, which will be a collection of the short stories, and also share more information about the ideas of the Scragglewood, what it's based on, and the characters that live there. The Scragglewood is very much inspired by places of urban wildness as opposed to big vast forests and old growth parks. This is more those forgotten inner city places, old alleyways, abandoned yards and houses, places that are more accessible to people who may live in cities or towns. And I want to show that magic and wonder and mystery are just as likely to show up there as they are in some ancient forest. If you wanted to see more art inspired by the Scragglewood, you could head over to my Instagram, autumnrosariohall.art, or follow the hashtag Scragglewood, which is where I've been sharing what I've done so far. I'm getting towards the end of the painting now, so I'm just working on the details. A lot of times, instead of blocking off the little details and leaving white space, I'll just paint them over top. And since I am working with acrylic, it is more possible to do that than if I had been working with watercolors or something less opaque. So I'm just finishing up her basket, and then after this I'll add more shadows behind it to kind of make it pop and stand out. So thanks for joining me today and watching my painting. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll be sharing more soon.